everyone, it's Jen. Welcome to Confusion Maven. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about working in rounds. We're going to show you how to create a magic ring or how to work in rounds with a chain. So there might be a couple of reasons why you would choose one over the other. For example, a magic ring, in my experience, works best with amigurumi. As you can see, I'm worked in rounds right here around the front of this unicorn's face, and it makes that perfect little circle right there. And the good thing about using a magic ring on something like this would be that you can tighten that, and the tail will be tucked inside the creature, so no one will see it and will be less likely for it to work its way out. Another option for working in rounds might be to create a granny square like this one here. And this one, I would use a chain rather than magic ring, because a chain is, you cannot tighten the chain, but the opposite to that would be that it will not loosen. So if you're going to create something that's like this, it doesn't have stuffing in the back, and it might be something that someone wears or covers up with, it's going to be moving a lot like this. So it might work its way loose. So using a chain would keep it from working itself out. Okay, so that would not be a good thing. You want it to stay just tight like this. Okay, so let's talk about the two different ways. And by the way, while I'm getting my yarn ready, if you are very new to crochet and you do not know what single crochet, double crochet, or any of those terms mean, you can look back on my previous lessons. This is the 5th lesson in this series. So in the previous lessons, it talks about those things. So go ahead and check the description box for that if you need to. Okay, so let's talk about how to do the magic ring. This is how I do it. I'm sure there are others out there who do theirs a little differently, but this is how I do it. So I take the tail of the yarn and I lay it across these fingers, and I put my thumb over the top of it and hang on. I wrap the yarn around the tops of my fingers, and then I kind of go in a crossover, and I grab that one with my ring finger. Okay, so I'm not holding it super tight, but you know, there is some tension there, so it's not going to fall off. You take your hook and you go underneath the first string and you grab the second string, okay? And you pull it through. And as I do, I kind of turn my hands around and then I twist the hook. All right, so I'm gonna pull my fingers out. This is the magic ring right here, see? But don't let go. You see where my thumb is? Do not let go of that because it will fall apart. So now I'm going to continue on and do one chain. That just kind of stabilizes it, so now I can let go of my ring. And I'm going to do 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now I can pull this tail and it will tighten right up. See how it works? See how it did that? Now we have our little circle. And if I was going to continue on with amigurumi, I wanted to make this into a flamingo or something like that, then I would put my hook underneath this stitch here, both sides of the stitch, and pull my yarn through. And I'm going to do that 12 times. I'm going to do 2 stitches within 2 single crochets in each stitch around. That's what I'm going to say. 1, 2. I want a total of 12. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you see how it's getting loose right there? That's okay, don't worry about that. 7, 8. It's because that I'm manipulating the fibers. 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that's the second round. And I'm going to fix that circle right there in the middle by taking the tail and tightening. See? All better. All right, now this is kind of a large hook for amigurumi. I really want to talk more about amigurumi basics in a later video, but just to give you one little tip, when you're doing amigurumi, you want to use the smallest hook that you can manage to use with whatever thickness your yarn is. So for this type of yarn, I would probably use a 3.5 millimeter hook rather than a 5 millimeter hook, but for these purposes, I wanted you to be able to clearly see what I was doing. So I used a larger hook. All right, so that is basically working in rounds. You have finished your first row and your second row. So now you would move on to your third row, and in that row you want to have 18 stitches. So you're going to be increasing by 6 every time you do a round. You increase by 6 until you get to the size that you want, and then you stop increasing. You mark where your spot is, and then you just keep going around and around and around until you're as big as you want. And then you can either start to decrease, or you can increase some more, or whatever the pattern calls for. And again, like I said, in a later video, I will talk more about amigurumi basics. I'm going to even talk about increasing and decreasing all by itself in a video coming up soon. So be sure you subscribe so that you can be alerted to when those come out. Okay, so that is the working in rounds with the magic ring. All right. So let's show you what working in rounds with the chain looks like. Okay, so I'm going to use a different color yarn, and I'm not going to do the magic ring. This time I'm going to just make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 2. Let me get my yarn fixed really quickly here. It's getting tangled up. Okay. Chain 2, chain 1, chain 2. Okay, so now if I want to work in rounds, I have to make a circle, right? Some patterns will call for you to chain 3, chain 4. It just depends on what the pattern is. We're going to chain 2 because I want it to be a really small circle. So I'm going to go back into the second chain from the hook. Go back into that one and do a slip knot or a slip stitch. Just pull through both hooks. Okay. Now you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to go back in again. Chain 1 or single crochet there. So you chained 1 and then you single crochet, and then I'm going to go back in again. That's 2 stitches. Go back in again. That's 3. Let's do 3 more. Trying to catch that tail. You see what I'm doing? I'm trying to catch that tail so that it can automatically be tucked in, so I don't have to weave it in later. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's do stitch number 5 and stitch number 6. Okay. So here is our first round with the chain instead of the magic ring. I want to show you the comparison. Look at the difference. There's a big hole in this one, which is fine if we're making a granny square. But when we're making amigurumi, we want no hole to be there because we have fiber fill stuffed inside of our little toy. And if we have this hole, then it's going to come out. You know, little children will find a way. They will find a way. But it doesn't tighten. I can pull, and that hole is still there. It tightened a little, but the hole is still there, y'all. See, I can stick my hook through it. Ta-da. All right, so let's see what it looks like if we make it just as big as the other one. So in this one, we're going to keep continuing to go around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is our first stitch here. 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. That's 2, 3, 4. We're going to have a total of 12. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, there's your difference. So the magic ring is really beneficial whenever you are using amigurumi. Okay, so that's the difference. Now, do you want to see what it looks like for a granny square? Let's do that. I'm gonna rip this out. This is called frogging it in the world of crochet. Okay, so I frogged it. I'm gonna frog this one. It's because it makes that ribbit sound. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. And you ripped it out. You ripped it. Okay, so let's do a magic ring. Show you one more time. And we'll try to make a granny square with the magic ring. Okay, so I chain 1. All right, so that's our magic ring. To make a granny square, I want double crochets around. Let me move this guy out of the way so you can see the example. There we go. So first we're going to start with a chain 2. So I've already chained, no, a chain 3. There we go, chain 2, chain 3. All right, double crochet into the loop, grab your yarn, pull it out. To start the granny square, we need 3 double crochets. We need a chain 1, and then we want to do back into the ring for 3 more double crochets. Chain 1. It's loose, but that's okay. We can tighten it if we want to. Tighten it a little if that makes you feel better. Double crochet 3 more. Chain 1, and then double crochet 3 more. Don't want to get that caught up in there. If we were doing the chain, it wouldn't be a big deal to get your tail caught, but not for this one. Okay, now I need a chain 1, and I need to slip stitch into the beginning. Slip knot. Okay, now it looks kind of cruddy, but let's pull this little string right here. Let's pull that tight as we can. Oh, okay, now we have the beginnings of our granny square. Okay, right? If we wanted to continue on, we would actually slip stitch all the way to the edge, because you want to always start in a corner for a granny square. And then you do 3, 2, 3, double crochet into the chain 1 space. Chain 1. In this space, we want 2 of what they call shells, 2 of these sets. So we did our 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then we want to go right back into that chain 1 space to crochet 3 more, double crochet. Now chain 1, and we're going to move over to this chain 1 space. Double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, back into that same space. Three times. Chain 1, back into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, 3 double crochets in the same chain 1 space. Chain 1. We have 1 chain 1 space left. It's right here. Had to find it. Chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first shell. There we go. Okay, now look, when I was messing with it, remember we tightened it a minute ago. When I was messing with it, this big thing this circle got bigger, so I have to tighten it again. So that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. It will come loose as someone, whoever you give this to, is sleeping under it or wearing it. It depends on what you turns out to be, but you get the idea. That little space is going to widen and widen and widen with the magic ring. All right, let's put that down, and let's do it again with the purple yarn. This time we're going to do a chain. So if you remember when we did the chain a moment ago, we make our slip knot, chain 2, and then we are going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. So grab that and just pull it all the way through. Chain 3, double crochet back into the center of your chain 2 circle that you created just now. So 2 double crochets. Okay, now I want to chain 1 and then go back into that center space with double crochet. 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, chain 1, chain 2, double crochet, sorry, double crochet 1, double crochet 2, double crochet 3, chain 1, then double crochet all over again. 3. Okay, now this, don't worry about that, we can fix that really easily, just like this. Yoink. Okay, now I need a chain 1 and then go into the top of this chain 3 that we created at the very beginning. It looks like a double crochet, and then pull the yarn through, and there you go. Okay, now I'm going to slip stitch my way over to the corner. One, 2, 3 chain, double crochet. So I'm going to continue on. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch this closed, and I'll show you the difference on a granny square. All right, so this is the granny square with the chain 2 in the middle, and there's a little bit of hole, like we said, and that's fine. We can try to tighten it a little, but it's really not gonna get much bigger than this right here. So that's the benefit of using the chain on the granny square versus the magic ring, where if we use the magic ring, we move our piece, look how much it comes out. And even if you tuck in your end and weave it all in, it still could easily work its way out because it's not secure like a chain is. So chain for granny squares and magic ring for amigurumi. All right, so stay tuned for my next video where I talk to you about increase and decrease, and even at getting close to doing some tutorials. So I look forward to that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.